Hey everybody, it's Lon Seidman. I am up in northern Vermont in a town called Worcester, and I'm here with my brother, Josh Seidman. So Josh stays outdoors, I stay indoors, and Josh has a great facility up here where he does wood-fired maple syrup. But he's up here in a place where we don't get good internet. My phone does not have a signal. You've got DSL, and you're getting what, like maybe 1 megabit upstream? It's pretty lousy?
Yeah, much less than 1 up and less than 10 down, and it craps out constantly, and it's just been really a thorn in our side. It's better than nothing, but this might be better than nothing still.
That's right. So we got in for Josh. Surprisingly, it was available here, Starlink. So we've taken a road trip, the first road trip I've taken in like a year and a half. So thanks for having us here for a short period of time. We're going to be flying out in a little bit. But what we're going to do is open up Starlink. We got the dish, all the routers, everything in this box. We're going to take it out of the box, show you what's inside of it. We're going to set it up out in the yard to see if Elon Musk's claims of point sky and turn on are all you need to do to get this going. And we'll see what we can do to improve Josh's internet. So let's get into the box here and see what we got. All right, Josh, we'll let you have the honors here. We've been waiting a long time for this to show up, or at least 2 weeks, right? And we're going to see what's in the box. Oh, we got some more tape on the side there. So Josh, while you're doing this, how bad has your internet been?
Poor.
Is it getting
dysfunctional.
worse?
I cannot update to the cloud. I cannot get any information off the cloud. I got to keep everything on hard disks if I actually want to utilize it. And also trying to run my business, any marketing material that I want to upload to Facebook or Instagram is nearly impossible. And even making sales calls and things such as that.
So this is hard to run your business right now.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is going to make things a lot more streamlined.
We'll see. Well, we got a lot of equipment in there. So what do we have? We have looks like a tripod. Why don't you take the tripod out there first?
Ooh, it has a nice in the hand feel. It's a white metal, not a steel, but and actually a nice powder coat finish. I'd actually rate the finish quite highly as somebody who works metal myself. I'm now curious about the process of how they put that together. But we have different things that we read about, my brother and I.
There.
So
this is what they call dishing.
Feels good.
And why don't you back out there a little bit, Jake, and just show us how big it is. That's pretty decent size.
I think there's a cardboard disc on it, although maybe I shouldn't be scratching at it. It's actually got a flat lens on the top there, and then a convex surface on the back. And yeah, interesting. I have no idea. It's space age.
That's right.
Exactly what I expect from Mr. Musk himself.
So why don't you settle that down before you drop it?
All right.
Oh, the cable's connected to it. Okay, there you go.
So
let me help you out with that.
I'm in over my head at this point.
All right, so now this looks like, this is they already have it hooked up for you here too. This is the PoE injector. And so the dish is powered over the network cable that goes into it. I think it's this black cable here. And then you can use your own router with it, but they also have a router in the box, which we'll take out in a second. And this goes out to the router to interconnect everything. So it's pretty simple, just one cable to get it all going. And they tell us that we can just set it up in the backyard and hit the button and we'll be ready to go. So we'll see if that is the case. Now that's the router, Josh. And like everything SpaceX, it's got to be angular.
Very Cybertruck.
Yeah, very Cybertruck.
And it actually has a white side and a stainless side.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so on the back there, you've got an Ethernet connection already made. That is coming in from the PoE injector. And then the rest of your network, we're going to interconnect through the one that's currently covered with that gray thing there. So there is just one Ethernet port on the router. But you already have infrastructure here, your network infrastructure. So theoretically, what should happen when he's ready to go live with this is that we should just be able to unplug his DSL router and plug the Ethernet cable that's outputting to the rest of the network from that router into the Starlink and be done. But we're going to start off, though, first out back. We're going to set it up on the ground, just do a real basic thing. We'll show you the software process involved here. We're going to run some speed tests, get everything going, and then after we're satisfied that it actually works, then Josh will take it and put it into its more permanent location, because you might have to think about how to get this thing mounted on the roof. Anything else in the box, Josh?
Well, I guess we'd have to maybe see if it's got another insert beneath.
You got to be careful, because everything is like plugged in already. So we didn't...
They were really standing by that claim of open the box and plug it in.
Yeah, it really is ready to go. Like you have nothing to even connect up.
It might even be so easy that I could do it. To be determined.
Looks like we got some instructions there. We should probably read those.
If I know my brother at all, he'd say throw these right away.
All right, so I think we've got everything we need. So we're going to go outside and put the dish together, and then we'll fire it up, see what happens.
Here with the Starlink dish, about to set it onto its pedestal. As you see, we have a cylinder and a female fitting and 2 little click rings that snap in as you place it, and quite easy, a little satisfying click to let you know you're there, and it's in. Removal is equally as easy, simply pushing it on one side. Looks like this one's sticking. Must have been the cold weather, maybe I pushed it in too deep and it got set past, so if that ever happens. There we go.
All right, Josh, so you put it in the tripod, no big deal. And Elon says, point at the sky and you're good. Now, there is an app on the phone, and hopefully my screen's going to record properly. And the app is going to help us position ourselves, at least for this test. And if you look on the screen right now, you can see that there's a dark area, and then there's a light area. And basically, they want everything in this light area to be free of obstructions. Now, we've got a couple, just barely here on the horizon of this virtual thing here. There's a tree here and a couple of other trees, but it looks like we've got most of the sky in view. And this is the best spot we could find without going on the roof right away. So we're going to start from here and see what happens. Now, we've got a single cable here going back to the barn where we've got power. So the next step is we're going to connect power to this, and the dish should orient itself automatically, find satellites, and I think we can set up his account over the satellite service. So let's get going. All right, so Josh has just plugged in the dish, and now we're going to wait for the dish to do what it's supposed to do. Apparently, the dish will orient itself and move. And that is what we're going to wait for it to do at this point. I'm guessing it has to boot up. I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
Your guess is better than mine, sir.
So we'll just wait for the dish to do something.
We'll trust in Elon.
Hopefully the dogs don't get irradiated with something along the way here. So it's definitely plugged in?
I tried.
Yeah, let me check and see what we got going on.
Maybe we did such a good job placing it that it doesn't need to make much adjustments. Aha!
Is it moving?
Lon, blinked. You missed it.
Oh, it's
doing
going.
it.
There we go. Well, at least the camera got it. Oh, there we
It's
go.
tilting and whirling.
All right, so I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. It says connected. And I'll say okay here. Oh, I'm getting a bunch of notifications in already. So it looks like we're
6
good
feet.
to go. So I'm going to join the network here, and it looks like it wants me to do a speed test here already, Josh. So let's run this and see what happens. My wife is texting me. Everything's coming through that I missed earlier.
Wow.
And we're going to go on fast.com. And right out of the gate, Josh, look at this. We're doing
Holy smokes.
78 megabits per second.
80
Again, this is with some obstruction.
And climbing.
Yep.
Whew.
And that's with some obstruction. So that's
82 MPS.
That's good. And that's downstream, so we'll test the upstream in a minute. And I bet you the dogs are probably causing some...
They're not helping.
They're not helping.
They're good
All right,
for
let's
morale.
go inside now. So let's go inside now.
Upload?
What's that? We're going
Upload.
to test that right now inside. All right, so we're going to do some network tests here. I just wanted to show you some things that are appearing on my phone right now because I've got some latency statistics here. It started with a little bit of a high latency, but the last measurement it got was 56, 65 milliseconds or so. And again, we're first getting set up here, so I would imagine that'll come down a bit. We've got good downloads here. It looks like it got a speed of almost 100 megabits a minute ago on its initial...
82.
Actually, right now it's 99 on this app here, according to SpaceX. And then you got an upload a second ago of 23 megabits per second. And it's also got some example latencies to Fortnite, Google, and Counter-Strike Go that you can see there at the bottom. Pretty cool. All right, so let's boot my Mac up now, and we're going to start running through some more normal things to see what kind of connection we've got. And remember, all we've done so far is brought power to the dish, and we ran the cable into this garage, and we're going to plug directly into the router with an Ethernet cable here from my Mac to do our next set of tests, just to get the best real-world example of what it can look like when you first fire this thing up. Let's do it. All right, so we got the laptop now directly connected to the dish's PoE. We had some trouble with that aux port on the router, which we need to explore in a little bit. But when I connected everything up, the Ethernet just lit right up. I got an IP address, and we were good to go. So I'm going to click on the Go button here, and let's see what kind of speed we get with the speed test app that we just ran. So now, Josh, we're doing a lot better. About 120 or so megabits downstream. Again, just setting this up in the backyard. So that's better than what you had earlier.
Tenfold.
And tenfold, right. And now we're going to run it in the other direction. Uploads. It's like jumping over 20 every once in a while here, but well over 10. And this is actually better than what I had with Comcast before they hooked me up with that fiber optic service that we're using now. So that's really good. Next, let's do some web browsing. Let's go maybe take a look at the nasa.gov homepage like we usually do. So we'll just see how our usual tests kind of go. And I got to say, this really feels, I mean, it's kind of appropriate we're looking at NASA, right? This kind of feels like it does on a decent cable connection. It's not very, there's not a lot of latency here. It's pretty responsive when I'm clicking through stuff. Pretty good. And we'll go to my YouTube channel at Lon.TV. And let's see how that looks. Comes right up. Here's my video. And then I can go click on another video here. We're running this one is at my usual 1080p.
That's smoking. That's out of this
so this is a lot
world.
better than what you had before.
Yeah, it would take me minutes to click through where you got to.
So you had a hard time watching me on YouTube then, it sounds like.
It was a test of my patience.
And I'll jump ahead here and see how, yeah, so it's honestly, this feels like every bit as good as a decent cable connection. And granted, I'm the only one on it right now, but still, it looks fine. It's great. Now, another thing people wanted me to check out was the Shadow streaming service. This is the game streaming service we reviewed a few weeks ago, where you run a Windows 10 computer in the cloud and then stream its output over to you. And as you can see here, our latency up here in Vermont is a little bit kind of all over the place as the satellites are moving around and things are passing over us. I think Josh is just far south enough right now to get the service. So I have been seeing, as we've been testing things in between shots here, a good amount of latency kind of jumping up and down. It doesn't get up that high, but it's variable. So you can see here on the chart. And in a prior take that we were doing before the snowplow guy almost took out our dish, we were seeing this jump between laggy and great a lot more than what you're seeing here. So it's certainly not as good as my hardwire connection for this service at home, but I'm also farther away from the data center here as well. But it hasn't dropped the connection, and I've been able to kind of do all the stuff that I might do on my Shadow server here. So for example, we could load up Firefox on the remote server and interact with it. I can go back to my YouTube channel and just see how that functions. It doesn't feel all that bad from a usability standpoint, but I think if I was streaming games, you might see a lot of variability in the latency as we're doing that. Now again, we just have this connected in the backyard, so if we get this up on the roof and there's less obstructions, maybe it would do a little bit better as it's passing things off to different satellites. But so far, honestly, this has just been amazing, just to plug this thing in, point it at the sky, and get an internet service that is tenfold better than what he had a minute ago. Now, I also ran a ping test out to Google to see what the variability in latency might look like, and you can see here it does jump around a little bit, but it's always well under 100 milliseconds, so I think the experience here will feel very much like a regular wired solution. Now, we also did a live stream out to YouTube at 720p at 2.5 megabits per second, and that worked great. We had no drop-offs over the course of a 25-minute stream. I know a lot of you tuned in for that. So you can see it linked down below in the video description, the recorded version of it anyway. But it was solid. We had a constant stream of data going up to the server, no drop-offs, nothing. It was just working fine, and I was really impressed with that, especially given that we were definitely handing off to at least one or two different satellites in the course of that broadcast. If you're curious about video conferencing, we did do a call a couple of weeks ago with one of the first Starlink beta testers over Starlink, and you can see that interview also linked below in the video description. That worked fine when we talked to him. So I would imagine the same would be true of Josh when he's up there. Maybe we'll do a follow-up doing a Zoom call with him or something. And when I connected my iPhone up to the Starlink router over Wi-Fi, the Verizon Wi-Fi calling started working, and I was able to place a call to my wife. There was really no noticeable latency at all. She sounded great, and she said I sounded great too. So altogether, I think the Starlink thing is a real winner, especially if you have been in an area with very poor broadband. Well, Josh, it worked a lot easier than I thought it was going to work. What do you think?
I'm extremely satisfied thus far. I'm looking forward to tying it into our existing system and really, seeing it in practical use, but blown away at this point.
So you have to get this thing mounted on your roof, so that's a whole nother thing that we got to deal with.
That's the next video. We'll shoot that in a few minutes.
We'll figure out some way to get that going. But I wanted to also let people know that you've got a great product here, a maple syrup that you develop here on the property, Rugged Ridge. So tell us about your process. What's different about it?
Well, maple syrup is a traditional all-natural sweetener that comes straight from trees. It's been that way for hundreds of years. And the traditional way has been to evaporate over a wood fire. And we just feel that that's the best. It adds a little smoky je ne sais quoi, as well as being carbon neutral and sustainable. So we continue to make wood-fired maple syrup, and we're in the minority of producers who do that. So if you guys wanted to support our efforts and enjoy the best maple syrup that you can, head on over to ruggedridgeforest.com.
My kids have some every morning, and we pay for it because it's good.
Hey, Christmas time,
I may
always
take a free
yeah.
bottle home with me, but what's neat is that everything is done here on the property. So you're bringing you're plugging into hundreds of trees out in the property
Thousands.
here, and thousands of trees, and just bringing that maple sap in and wood firing it and
Yeah.
bottling it, and now you've got enough bandwidth you can actually fulfill orders faster.
Well, an important part of this is telling our story. What's the point of doing it the best way if people don't know what you're doing and
Right.
why it's better? And so, telling our story through the social networks and through our website and all of those things has been bottlenecked by our web service and connectivity. We've been able to fulfill orders, but to be able to really let people know what we're doing and keep them updated from little old Worcester, Vermont.
Right.
We're on the cusp of a new age.
Yeah,
here. It's
and
pretty
now
exciting.
we've increased your upload speed like 18x from where it was before. And that's been my biggest gripe with how the ISPs have been working, is that we haven't had reliable upstream or fast upstream available because everyone's been focused on downstream. So now we're at a point where you can actually do some Facebook videos, and I think that's going to make a big difference here, and some YouTube videos for that matter too. So maybe we'll get your channel going there. So.
It'll help to share our story, and thanks, Elon, for seeing the demand and actually creating the solution.
And we'll end off here also because Josh paid for this, so it's not a paid plug from SpaceX. He paid $500 for the dish. He's going to be paying $100 a month for the service. But I think for what you didn't have here before, this is definitely going to be worth it. So good. Well, use it in good health, brother, and thanks for having us come visit.
Thank you for everything, brother. Love you. Great to see you.
Love you.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Jim Peter, Tom Albrecht, Frank Lewandowski, Mark Bollinger, and Chris Allegretta. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.